are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. I hope you are, because we have a big show today. We have a ton of news. This was a busy week all around. We have the Trump Tesla hat that we're going to discuss. That was quite interesting. Quite a lot of implication to it. We got some results from it too that I think going to be interesting for our listeners. We have our updates on the Tesla Takedown. We have an update on the cheaper Tesla model coming up. We get a good look at the Mercedes CLA EV with all its specs, and it's a very interesting update, a big step up from Mercedes. And we get, at the lesser level, sneak peek of the next-gen VVs from BMW. And it looks like, again, we don't have as much detail as we do for the Mercedes, as we do for BMW, but it looks like it's also the Germans are stepping up big time with their EV. And a couple of other news. And then at the end, as usual, we take you guys' questions. So if you have any question, you can put them in the comment section right now. When I get to them at the end of the show. But let's start about this fascinating thing that happened this week on Tuesday. So on Monday, for context, because the context is important here, Tesla's stock crashed 15%. Now it has mostly recovered this week since then, that 15%, but 15% in a single day after the stock already crashed like 40% since its all-time high just a few months ago. It looks like Elon Musk was panicking a little bit, and he reached out to his buddy Donald, and Donald said that as a show of faith for Elon and to help encourage Tesla, he's going to buy a Tesla vehicle. And then the next day, Elon brought a couple Tesla vehicles to the White House, and they held a press conference in front of the White House. And the press conference basically amounted to a commercial, an infomercial from the president about Tesla. And you even see getting it like a good shot. You can clearly see the talking points that was handed to Trump, and it's basically like a pitch with the pricing of each model. It says all cars have self-driving, just needs to be turned on with a fee. Like it was basically like a pitch of Tesla vehicle done by the president, which was like moonlighting as a Tesla salesman for a day. And I have mixed feeling about this, because it is Donald Trump who's been pushing misinformation about electric vehicles for years, now positively talking about electric vehicles, specifically Tesla, of course. So, like, if I put my mission glasses on, you could make an argument that this is positive for the mission. However, you also have to take into account that Elon is his biggest political donor by far. And he does that a day after the stock crashes. And then, I don't know if you heard that said, but a day later, the day after the infomercials on Wednesday, New York Times and Axios reported that Elon has told White House officials that he plans to give Trump another $100 million in political donation a day after this. So it does, like, this is like
commercial.
Yeah, it's $100 million commercial. It's the most Banana Republic thing I've ever seen. So it is obviously sad for the U.S. that this is happening. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, it's not necessarily bad for EVs. That said, it's not bad in EVs if it works. So obviously, this is Trump talking to his fans, and Trump has been, it's not the first thing that Trump is trying to sell to his fans. I mean, he's trying to sell steak, he's trying to sell like fake university, he's trying to sell like MAGA hats. Like MAGA hats is probably his biggest success, I would assume, in terms of actual like take rate. But is this thing actually working? And obviously, most people, even the MAGA people, I think, would see through it in the first place, that this is not like a legit endorsement of Trump liking Tesla vehicles. Like he's been...
I mean, he doesn't drive.
To start with, he's not allowed to drive. That's true. I mean, he's coming on 80, so probably his best driving years are behind him to start with. But as the president of the United States, you're not allowed to drive. And even if he's not president, he probably wasn't driving himself, like in New York or whatever. Like, yeah, he had drivers around. So yeah, it doesn't make sense as an endorsement. And when you know that what happened with the stock, Elon, political donor, like it's a pretty obvious quid pro quo, what do I pronounce that?
Quid pro quo, yeah.
Quid pro quo. And so it devalues the endorsement. And sure enough, today we came out. So it's day 4 since the ad. So it's not like we have a ton of data, but the ad is more impactful right away too. So we did an inventory check on the day of the ad on March 11th and one today. And you see Model 3 listings were at 1,100 units. They went to 1,400 units, so it went up. Model 3 inventory went up. Model Y inventory went down from 2,300 units to 1,500. Cybertruck stayed the same at 1,000 units. So what we get from that, so Model 3 inventory going up a bit, it's normal. Tesla is producing them, selling a few of them, not too many. And so no real impact here. It went up. Model Y inventory went down by 800 units. So you could say, oh, this is good. This is probably the Trump bump. And to a degree, it might be. But if you look at the actual chart here, you can see that the Model Y inventory has been going down quite rapidly over the last few weeks. No more at the higher rate in the last few days than as you can see, there was bigger drop actually. And that's purely because, as you know, in the US right now, the inventory is all the old version of the Model Y that Tesla is trying to liquidate as it's a changeover to the new version of the Model Y. Started delivery last weekend. So it's just they are discounting them heavily. You can get one for like $35,000. So the drop, I'm sure he sold a few hundreds of them maybe, but the drop was happening either way. And, most analysts already expect Tesla to be at zero Model Y inventory at the end of the quarter as they move over to the other one. So nothing too crazy there. The Cybertruck hasn't moved at all, but to be fair, I think you can attribute that partly to a containment hold that we're going to discuss in a second. So the real question is, like, did it boost new orders for the new Model Y? And the answer to that is it doesn't look like it, because I did check on the delivery timelines for the new Model Y with some Californian and Texas zip codes. And Tesla says that if you place an order right now, you can still get a delivery by the end of the month for the launch editions of the new Model Y. So the Trump bump is not great. Let's just say that. And I mean, this to me just looks like another just bad move by Elon. Getting your brand associated with one of the most controversial president of the United States in modern history is just not a smart move at all. But it's just one more dumb
move.
It
seems like of all the people to get involved, the people. So you have a Venn diagram of people who would want to buy an electric vehicle, and then you have Trump people, and like that overlap is like very small. And of those people that aren't in the Trump camp, everybody else pretty much hate. You either love him or hate him, Trump, right?
Yeah.
So by putting Trump out there, he's alienated a huge swath of people, and maybe Trump fans, maybe 10% of them are open to getting an EV. So he's, killed 90% of the audience and gotten 10%.
Yeah, want an EV and can afford an EV too. Like there's, these the Venn diagrams become smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Cybertruck has been very difficult to move for Tesla, but in the last week, cannot blame Trump for that one because it looks like there's a containment hold on it. So we will look at some posts on the Cybertruck Owners Club forums and on X and Facebook, and a bunch of Cybertruck buyers are reporting that they had their delivery delayed and put on a hold. And most of them are not being told much, or some of them have been told a containment hold, which in the industry, it's basically when an automaker finds a problem with a car, with a new batch, with a new production vehicle batch, if you will, and they don't want to deliver those vehicles because whether or not they have the issue or not, before they need to verify in order not to issue a recall after the fact and having to bring those car back as soon as they deliver them. So they hold on deliveries, checks everything. Sometimes everything is fine. Sometimes no, they need to recall it, or not recall it because they are still in their hands, so they can fix the issue before delivering. But the issue, one person was told something about the issue. I have this is the Tesla app service DMs, and the Tesla employee said that it's the chemtrail concern. So it's the chemtrail trim is this part of the vehicle here. If you're watching, it's basically the trim that's over the windows and close to the roof. And we've seen problem with this trim before, that it would just like fly off of the vehicle. It's even though Tesla says it's an exoskeleton and it's bulletproof and all that, we know this is basically a lie. Like it is, by all definition, it is a unibody design that Tesla had. I'm sure that Tesla at one point planned some kind of exoskeleton, and they're still using exoskeleton in their marketing because I think they're sort of getting away with it because like the doors and some body panels are stainless steel do contribute a little bit to the structural integrity of the vehicle. But it's a stretch like crazy, because if you look at the actual body of the vehicle, this is a unibody system, and they are strapping panels on it just like any vehicle, but not just like any vehicle, because in some cases they are just gluing their panel on this, and this is what's not working. Although the chemtrail one, I've looked at the part system, and they do have brackets for it, but the brackets look completely on top rather than on the side, and the trims is clearly on the side because you have glass on top. So I'm a little bit confused about that, I'm not gonna lie. But the Tesla employee says that it's a problem with this, and Tesla already had a recall for trims like that flying off of the vehicle back in June, so it looks like it's coming back. Like they haven't really fixed the issue, so we'll keep an eye on that as the Cybertruck. Yeah, I put in the article a video here that's pretty useful. Like you can see the actual problem with it. Like this is the actual trim. Can you imagine that thing flying off on the highway? It's like a machete.
Yeah, don't like the sound of that.
It's like a machete flying at you.
Also, I remember there were some people, some I don't want to say criminals, but like vandals that were just ripping him off with their hands.
Yeah,
that piece.
Yeah, it's not great. Like it's pretty for a car that's like marketed at like apocalypse proof, bulletproof, and all that. This is not a good look. So still on the Trump infomercial for Tesla, at the press conference, Elon made the announcement, and the way he made it seem like this is a new announcement for Tesla. He says, as a function of the great policies of President Trump and his administration, and as an act of faith in America, Tesla is going to double vehicle output in the United States within the next 2 years. So this announcement went viral. As soon as he said it, Trump gave him a big pat in the back, like, yeah, there you go. There you go. The only problem with that is it is a complete lie, okay? And not the doubling of the production capacity. I'm sure that is what Tesla wants to do. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if they will be able to do it. I don't know if they're just going to have the demand to do it. But what's the lie is that this is a function of the great policies of the president and his administration. That is the lie, because this is something that was announced months ago and years ago in some cases. And I did the math. Pretty simple, really. You take this charts here that Tesla shares at every quarter, that is the install capacity for Tesla vehicles. And of course, this is globally, so you have Shanghai and Berlin also. But you can break it down, and in the US, it adds up to 1 million vehicles. However, the install production capacity is not the same as the production, or the Elon said the output. So the output is way different than the install production capacity. Tesla operates, there's some varying estimates, but between 50 and 70% of its capacity right now. They are throttling production down. Why? Because they're having a hard time to sell those cars. So the Model S and X production is like operating at roughly 50%. The install capacity that is listed as 100,000 units, but Tesla delivered fewer than 50,000 last year. Model 3 and Y over 800,000 units when it's producing fewer than 600,000 units. And Cybertruck is the weird one, where Tesla is actually listing it at 125,000 units here, but in the last, or the one or two pre-earnings call ago, they said that the install capacity is actually 250,000 units, and Tesla is producing less than 50,000 units right now, or producing at a rate of fewer than 50,000 units. So really, at best, Tesla's production right now in the US is about 700,000 vehicles. Okay, so doubling that will mean another 700,000 vehicles. So people are like, all right, what's within the next 2 years? So what's the announcement here? Like, are they new vehicle, or is there going to be a new factory? It's like none of that. Because if you do the math, so first you have the more affordable models that when we're gonna have another post about that. Those specifically about Shanghai, but they're gonna come to America too. Tesla has already announced that they plan to do 2 new affordable models based on, but not necessarily based on Model 3. They didn't say that, but we have sources that do say that. But produced on the same production line as the current Model 3, Model Y, because again, those production lines are under capacity. And the goal is to fully utilize those production lines. So again, that is a 200,000 units that Tesla can add right there towards the 700,000 units goal, because U.S. factories right now producing the Model 3, Model Y, Fremont and Berlin and Texas, are under capacity. Then you have the Tesla Semi, which they just finished the building for the Nevada factory for it. And the volume production is expected to start later this year. And the 2-year goal would put them in early 2027. So, I don't know how much they can ramp up to that, but the goal is 50,000 units per year. So let's say they achieve the goal, whatever. It's ambitious, but it's not impossible. By then, I mean. So we're already at 250,000 units. And then you have the Cybercab, which is supposed to start production next year. And this one is based on the next-gen platform. It's going to be built. They're already working on the production line at Gigafactory, Texas. And in terms of the production capacity on that, I mean, Elon himself says that he sees a volume production starting in 2026 of at least 2 million units per year, which is obviously crazy, but that's what he said. So though he said that might be at more than one factory, so let's cut it in half, let's say, and 1 million units. So Tesla just needs to ramp up production from 2026 to early 2027 to 450,000 units per year, and boom, you have your goal of doubling the capacity. So Tesla already planned to double its output in the U.S. before Trump, before the election, even before Elon officially backed Trump. So Elon's comment was nonsense, but again, to his defense, he's not the only one saying that. There's a ton of companies that just recycled old announcement and attribute it to the new administration to get some brownie points with Trump, and it works every single time. So,
yep.
And it's not like we're gonna keep a check on all of Elon's lies too, because that's all that we'll be doing. All right, yeah, a lot of news that came out of this little event too. The Tesla Takedown movement. So we've been tracking that a little bit, and last weekend they ramped up again. And so people tried to mix those together, the Tesla Takedown protest with our peaceful protest, grassroots movement. Earlier this week, before that event, actually, Elon, put his foot in his mouth again and tried to claim that the Democrats are organizing the whole thing. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. There is some Democrats promoting them, that's for sure, and especially since they've gained a lot of momentum, they want to attach their name to it and everything. So, there's nothing stopping that. But he said specifically that Act Blue PAC, which is a Democratic Party PAC, was behind those protests. Not only he didn't supply any evidence of that. In his tweet about it, he asked people to bring him evidence of that. He made the claim and then asked for the evidence after, which is, classic Elon. But now, so with that $100 million that Elon gave on top of his 250 to Trump to get the ad, he also got Trump to say that they're going to crack down on these Tesla protesters or vandals, because they bund them up together, and say that anyone that's attacking Tesla dealership are going to be domestic terrorists, are going to be labeled as such, and get a lengthier sentence because of it. But Tesla Takedown came out with a statement dissociating itself with any kind of violence. It's a non-violent grassroots protest movement they describe themselves as. But they also added that peaceful protest on public property is not a domestic terrorism, which is true. Obviously, we are against any destruction of property here. Like it's didn't know we needed
And
to state
it
that.
doesn't help your cause either,
Yeah,
because people are just going to claim insurance, and
yeah,
this is going to get some more business for fixing it.
yeah. The only argument you can make is like Tesla vehicles are going to be harder to insure, which might be the case, but they are harder to sell right now. And like when you burn one down, Tesla is like, yeah, I'm just going to claim the insurance. So yeah, and they are coming back strong this weekend. So that was a few days ago, and I've seen like the whole U.S. is blue with dots of protest this weekend. So it looks like it backfired quite a bit. This idea of like we're just gonna crack down on them because okay. I don't think you should, if someone burns down a car, the federal government shouldn't get involved, and you cannot call someone a domestic terrorist or whatever. That's a little bit too much. It's a state crime. Like it should be like local authorities that handle it, and it should be handled, and there should be a sentence and everything. But I lost my train of thought on that. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I lost my third line again. Where was I going? So yeah, but okay, yeah. That is like if they go and start rounding up people that protest peacefully at Tesla dealership, that will reach a whole new level though, because we already saw with the student that was doing protests for Palestine that got arrested this week, and they're trying to deport him. Like there's a lot of that scary stuff happening right now. And so we're keeping a close eye to that because obviously people are allowed to peacefully protest. It's their First Amendment right, and they are perfectly welcome to use it. And if they start using tactics to prevent that because Trump is close to Elon is close to Elon and vice versa, it's insane. All right, moving on. We got some report this week about the upcoming new cheaper models at Tesla. Specifically one based on the Model Y. So this is coming from 36KR, which is like a tech media, like a sort of like the tech crunch of China, if you will. And the report kind of mirror what we've been seeing for a while. So since Elon canceled the NV91 and V92 based on the new vehicle platform, and only focus on the Cybercab for the new vehicle platform, they can sell a $25,000 Tesla, and then they plan to make closer to like $30,000, $35,000 vehicles on the Model Y and Model 3 production lines. And this report from 36QR mentioned a specific one that Tesla China led the development on, and it's a little bit worse than we thought. They are talking about using basically the Model Y, the same battery, the same chassis, the same powertrain, and everything, and just what we call decontent, which in the industry is when we just remove content from a vehicle to make it cheaper. And they even reference in the report what Tesla did in Mexico last year. So we reported on that Tesla launched a version of the Model 3 that's decontent in Mexico to be a little bit cheaper. So they use fabric instead of the vegan leather, and they remove like the screen in the back seat. They removed the ambient lighting around the front end, like a few things like that, and they made it like $4,000 cheaper. So this is still only available in Mexico, but now it sounds like they want to do something similar with the Model Y in China, but it could come to other market also. The idea is to launch it later this year, so similar to what Tesla also talked about, new model, cheaper models. They also said that it might not be called a Model Y, which would also be in line with the idea that it's a different model, even though it was going to be very, very close to it. And they said that they're waiting for to see the demand for the new version of the Model Y. So probably like they want to take advantage of the demand they have from the new version and not cannibalize that with a cheaper version, and just take advantage of having a little bit of a higher price for a little bit before launching it. But there was also another report that came from China also today that's very similar to this one, that said that the vehicle could be a little bit smaller and about 20% cheaper, which would bring it around $30,000, which is pretty good. But personally, I think, especially in China, I think this is a mistake for Tesla, because they, especially like if they would have launched like a completely new model that's not based on the Model Y, it would have been different. But since it's based on the Model Y, it's going to be a little bit smaller, less content, fewer features, not as high-end material. Not only the cannibalization of the Model Y is going to be really big, it's going to further deteriorate Tesla's brand in China, which already has been suffering from, used to be a premium foreign brand that warranted a premium price also. But with the Chinese EVs becoming so much better, not necessarily better than Tesla, but better than they were before, and higher quality and more luxurious, Tesla has lost that in China, and now it's becoming less and less the premium brand and more just like a regular brand there. And then if you continue that way with a cheaper vehicle that's the same as your best-selling vehicle, just less luxurious, you're gonna really cannibalize not only the Model Y, but you're gonna destroy your already super thin. Some analysts, Troy Tesla, which I think is one of the best analysts on Tesla stuff, already estimate that Tesla is not making any money right now from selling vehicles in China. So this is just going to be really squeezing Tesla real tight, I think. All right, this was interesting that it came out yesterday. Tesla sent out a letter to what's his name? Jameson Greer was President Trump's top U.S. trade representative. They said in a letter in which they said, as a U.S. manufacturer and exporter, Tesla encouraged USTR, this U.S. trades, to consider downstream impact of certain proposed action taken to address unfair trade practices. So basically what they're saying is like, the trade war that you started might make us a target of retaliatory tariffs. And they didn't explain why. Obviously, they just, as a manufacturer and exporter, obviously Tesla can be more directly a target because of the association with Elon Musk and Elon Musk's association with Trump. Sorry. And we already made it clear that Tesla is not impervious to the tariffs that have been proposed by Trump, because they take 25% of their parts for US-made vehicles from Mexico, and an undisclosed amount on top of that from Canada. And they make a lot of the machinery for their factory, including the one that they are developing right now for the next-gen Cybercab. They make that in Canada at the I-Bar, but it's not called I-Bar anymore, but they bought I-Bar and then they made the machinery there. So it's going to impact Tesla directly. But Tesla's also worried of like downstream impacts directly on Tesla. And they are right to be concerned, because we have seen that already. We reported before on like Toronto, removing the incentive for taxi services to use electric vehicles if it's a Tesla, but not the other EVs. And now we have BC Hydro that runs a rebate program for EV charging station. Now Tesla products are excluded from that. And the BC Energy Minister, Adrian Dix, is also reportedly considering removing Tesla from the rebate on EV purchase. So that's no joke. And we also reported on several Canadian politicians saying that they would put a tariff on Tesla vehicles coming to Canada, 100% tariff. So the NPD leader said that, and he doesn't have really a real chance of winning the election coming up, but there's a chance that there's a coalition that could form, and if it does, he could get some power and instate that. So Tesla is basically nervous about it, and they're concerned about retaliation for the company over the tariffs. And I tell you, Seth, I wouldn't want to be working in Tesla's policy team deals these days.
No,
because you're walking a very fine line, because all Trump's actions are hurting the company, but at the same time, your CEO is the best buddy with Trump, so you cannot say anything. And also, I would note that Elon has been praising Trump like crazy. I mean, he says that he loves Trump as much as any other straight man can love another man. That's an actual quote. That's an actual quote, by the way. And he's praised a lot of his action, but he's been completely silent on the tariffs. He hasn't said anything about the tariffs, which is I mean, there's a lot of things that Elon has done over the last 2 years that highly disappointed me. But that's a coward right there. Like you can praise him at every corner when you like his stuff, but when you clearly doesn't like it, I know that Elon thinks this is dumb. I'm for sure Elon thinks this is dumb. He cannot see a good way this is happening, unless he really wants to annex Canada. Also, I don't know what's Elon thing on that, but the tariffs and stuff, because Trump's obvious goal here is to put economic pressure on Canada in order to annex it. Like he's been pretty open about that lately. Like the last tweet he had on this, he straight up said it like, "Oh, well, we can all back off of that if you just become the 51st state." So Trump is basically saying that he's willing to cripple the North American economy, both the US, Canada, and also Mexico. He's willing to destroy the livelihood of millions of families in Canada and in the US, all just to be the guy that like conquered Canada and annexed Canada for the US. It is gross. It is completely insane. It won't work either. Like it'll just do damage in the meantime. But it's so supporting any of that is just, it's madness. Like there's no excuse for it whatsoever. All right, we're going to take a break from Tesla. I'm sure some of you are going to be happy about that. We're 31 minutes into the show here. It's not too bad. Like we did have the show on it, and there's a lot of things happening with Tesla. But let's talk about something pretty cool here. Mercedes CLA EV. They unveiled the vehicle this week, and there's a lot to like about it. It's a big step up for Mercedes and for like EVs in general, I would say. Depending on the price. The only thing we don't have right now is the price, so we'll get to that a little bit later. But look at these specs, Seth. I don't know, did you look into it a little bit this week?
Yeah, I love this car.
Yeah. 85 kilowatt hour NMC battery pack. Apparently, that's the secret sauce for Mercedes here. It's a 20% bump in energy density compared to the previous generation of electric vehicle. On top of, Mercedes has been investing a lot in efficiency. They have their Vision EX, whatever prototype that we urge them to launch a production version of that. But even though they haven't listened to us on that, they do incorporate some of the efficiency improvement they found on that to the other EVs. And 0.21 drag coefficient, very good. They are talking about WLTP range here of 492 miles, 792 kilometers here. That is wild. Also using an 800 volt system capable of adding 200 miles of range in 10 minutes. Top charging, DC fast charging range capacity of 320 kilowatts. So this is all top of the line stuff here. Like you cannot do better, really. This is like lucid range. It's not it's the WLTP, not EPA, but like 492 miles, like it's going to be over 400 EPA. It's going to be like what, right. 410, 420?
Right. And it like looks like a really nice car. And yeah,
let's talk about the looks a little bit, because I think you too, but we've been kind of critical about Mercedes design when it comes to EVs.
Yeah, the plastic.
It looks plasticky at times. This one is the best one I've seen so far from Mercedes, especially in white like that. Like, this is the 3/4 rear view, incredible. The front end is still not my thing. Like, I'm still not a fan of it. Not a fan of the light bar. Not a fan of the fake grill. But look at it in white.
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad. In white, it kind of works. So it's not crazy. The size of it, it's basically a Model 3. It's going to be a Model 3 competitor, obviously in the higher end of the Model 3, because it destroys it with the specs. The interior, very much a Mercedes-Benz interior. It's a little bit busy for me, but they've made a lot of improvement in the UI. They're using Google now. They have a partnership with Google. They have Gemini AI directly in the car. They use Google Cloud, the automotive AI agent that they offers, and their latest operating system, the MBOS, excuse me. But it's Google that's making a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to like trip planning and charging and all that. So this is very good on that front. Yeah, Gemini is also. They say Gemini. They also have ChatGPT 4.0 in there. Okay.
Not at all. It's like CarPlay, Android Auto.
Yeah. So it will be available in two versions: the 250 Plus and the 350 Formatic. The 250 Plus is rear-wheel drive, 260 horsepower. The all-wheel drive 350 has 349 HP. Oh, that makes sense. And you can get, so the top range of 492 miles, 792 kilometers is for the rear-wheel drive version, but you don't lose that much with the all-wheel drive. You go down to 480 miles, 771 kilometers of range. Again, WLTP, not APA, but the efficiency difference should be like the WLTP doesn't take climate control into account, anything like that. So having a all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive system doesn't really affect anything like that. Like the efficiency hit is going to be similar on the WLTP as it will be on the EPA. So both these cars are probably going to be over 400 miles. But both versions of these cars, of this car, I should say. In red, it looks like the three-quarter view of the back looks great. Now, the real question is the price. So how much is this going to cost? We don't know yet. This is coming, I think, later this year. And but this CLA is like an entry-level Mercedes. In the US, it starts at 45.
I know. It's very tempting. And so the other thing, we don't know the price, but we also don't know when it's going to be in the US and Canada.
Yeah.
That's my big question.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume it would come. It's a killer product.
Oh, it better come. If it doesn't come, that's going to be problematic. Yeah. But when, though? Is it going to be like a year after Europe?
I hope not. I would hope it's going to be like late this year. And I would hope it's starts at 55, maybe, something like that. It's going to be more expensive than the CLA, not the gas-powered CLA at 45.
Yeah, especially with the big battery. But I wonder if they'll try to make it, after rebates, maybe 10K more or something.
Yeah, I mean, it starts at 55, and then Mercedes likes its options. So, if you start adding a lot of options, it's not going to be cheap. If you run the all-wheel drive, it's probably over 60, and then you have a few packages and everything, and you can easily get that thing to $70,000, I'm sure. But I think it's interesting either way. Even that, if you can get a 400-mile car for $55,000, that's killer. That's gonna take a big part of the higher end of the Model 3 market gone. It's gonna BMW. We're gonna get to BMW because BMW is not sitting on its hands on this. This has shook up a lot of the luxury market this week when it comes to electric vehicles. But obviously, BMW was already working on their thing. But this is our next article. BMW
new class
has given some sneak peeks. So it's not definitive stuff, but we get a better look at the i3 and iX3 are going to be the two first vehicle on the next generation system from BMW, and they're talking about similar things that we just talked about Mercedes. So a 20% increase in energy density from the new NMC cells that they're using. A lot of that, we are called Tesla haters a lot, but I give credit where credit is due. A lot of those improvements are copied to a certain degree from Tesla, so they're switching to cylindrical cells, which Tesla has led for many years, instead of the prismatic or pouch cells. So this is part of the improvement here. But they are kind of leapfrogging Tesla now because Tesla has been a little bit stagnant on that front, on the range front and everything. Like what we just discussed with the CLA, it's ahead of Tesla for sure.
Yep.
Now these design here are still very much like prototypes. It's not. It looks pretty crazy, but this is going to be the new i3 set.
I like it.
It kind of hits. It's interesting. A little bit
Yeah.
more boxy, but again, super.
Wasn't
A lot
there a
of cabin
China
fun.
i3 that looked kind of sedan-like?
I think so. I think so. They already have something in China, but it certainly doesn't look like the good old i3 from like
Yeah.
2013 to
Weird mobile.
2019, whatever it was. It stopped production, and then you have the iX3. Was the new generation of the iX3 because this is already still for sale. That is going to benefit from those 20% increase in energy density, the new electric motor. So they have a new video of that here. So I forget this thing. They do get a not a great look at it either. But it looks like a significant update to the iX3 also. The i3 is going to make its first official appearance later this year and will launch in early 2026, so about a year from now. And they're talking about 30% improvement in range, so it's not going to be as crazy as the CLA probably, but it's going to get close to 400 miles, like in the high 300 probably, because the current version of the i4, for example, will get around 300 miles, and you can expect boost in range in charging also. So we're going to keep an eye on that. They're going to be unveiled in the coming months. All right, we have 3 more news articles to discuss before we jump into the comment section. So if you guys have questions for us, now's the time. You can put them in the comment section and we can get to it in just a few minutes. So let's talk quickly about the BZ4X updated. Toyota just gave the BZ4X the glow up it deserves. Peter is nice. Peter is being nice. It's the glow up it needs. It needs rather than deserve, I think. But this doesn't look bad. Like I'm not mad at it. Like, but I never had a giant problem with the BZ4X design. I had a problem with how it drove and the range and the charging. But those are things that are being improved right now. So they are now using some battery preconditioning for the fast charging, and that's going to help a lot charge, especially in cold weather. However, it's still capped at 150 kilowatts of max charging rate. So this is a little bit like last gen when it comes to EVs, but the preconditioning should help greatly when it comes to the charging rate. There's going to have OTA updates, which is useful. I didn't know it didn't have that. The 2 battery options are 57.7 kilowatt hour and 73.1 kilowatt hours. Also available in forward wheel drive and all wheel drive. This is another thing I'm not a fan of. I prefer rear wheel drive. The smaller battery is only going to be for the single motor front wheel drive too.
Yeah, and the old battery was 71, I think, kilowatt hours. So it's not a huge bump up. But
no,
having the lower pack will make the base price lower, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, this thing is already super cheap. You can get it, like you can lease it for like $200 a month or something in some places. So yeah, you're right. The battery is a small upgrade, but it's not crazy. The range they're talking about now. Okay, so yeah, okay, we put an estimate on the EPA. So the estimate on the PA is up to 252 miles. Okay, now it's 252 miles, and it should be around 217, 280 miles. So a 20 or so bump in miles of range for the BZ4X. So nothing too crazy. I don't think this is gonna help probably. But the only reason Toyota is selling this right now is because they have like crazy deals on them. It's pretty cheap.
Right.
Not
and
an
I
awful.
guess
Yeah.
I guess also the Subaru Solterra will get the same upgrade. Maybe we'll hear about that shortly.
We should expect that. And the Lexus version too. They have an Lexus version of it. All right, the Rivian came out this week with a big software update. With a bunch of different things in it, but the biggest one was hands-free driving. So they went a little bit similar to Tesla's with the FSD update last year, where they are monitoring the driver's attention rather than having their hands on the steering wheel. So very useful. It's for highway assist, so it's only on the highway, unlike FSD. And I haven't tried it yet. It's just for the R2s, the second generation of the R1s, I should say. So it's not for the older version. So it's only the newer version built since Q2 of last year, I think. But this is a first like big step towards what Rivian is trying to achieve. They are doing a fully in-house autonomous platform. All the R2s have a very extensive hardware already inside the vehicle. They have a very powerful computer. They have very extensive sensors, and they claim to have the best cameras in any vehicle in North America. And I believe them. Like they have a very high-tech camera in there. Now it's all about developing the software to release increasingly better autonomous driving assist system. And right now it's hands-free, but it's still level 2, just like Tesla, for highways. And the next goal is for next year to achieve hands and eye-free, so a level 3 system, again, for a highway, which I think going to be quite important, quite groundbreaking, because now when you're on the highway, you're going to literally be able to like look at your phone, do some emails, even watch a movie or whatever. So if you're going a long distance on the highway, it's like a lot of times that it gives back to you. They are also releasing a new rally mode. So I had some preview of that when I tested the new R2s. I keep saying R2s. It's the second generation R1s last year. So it tightens the steering and throttle response for driving on ice, mud, dirt, and asphalt. They have a really cool animation too when you put in rally mode. It's pretty cool. Then they have their performance upgrade too. I think we already reported on that too. So it's for both Gen 1s and Gen 2 dual motor vehicle with standard, large, or max battery pack for $5,000, $7,200 in Canadian. You get a boost to unlock 665 horsepower in those vehicles. So pretty good. Tesla did that at one point with the Model S and X too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, a lot of people have been requesting that you can change your wheel type now, so that it can take that into. So if you decide to change your wheel in your car, you can enter that in the system, and it will take that into account to calculate your range estimate. So your range estimate is going to be more accurate based on your wheels. So that's cool.
Yeah, especially if you're doing winter tires or winter wheels.
Yeah, winter wheels, or if people go off-roading and they have like different wheel set that they want to put on. So like these type of vehicles, they will change their wheels a little bit more often than most. So it would make sense. I really like those new wheels. I don't know how new they are, but they design like the full like arrow wheels from Rivian. It's like they look solid.
Yep.
Okay, well, one quick fun post before we go. We got a first like real world look of the controversial ultra luxury EV from Jaguar that they kind of unveiled with their rebranding that they did last year or this year.
I can't remember what happened. Yeah.
This year is going by so fast. Like everything is so crazy. It's going like that. Like we're already mid-March right now. And it's funny because like you look at this picture, and I have a video too that I can play and everything, and it doesn't look real. It doesn't make any sense. Like you look at the eye. Like I know if you're just listening right now, it's not gonna be fun for you guys. I'm sorry, but like we're watching an Instagram video right now, and it doesn't look like it's like it tricks your eye where you're like, nah, this is not a real car. And you have people coming out of it and like, no, it's actually a real car. Like even the interior looks unreal. It's not necessarily a compliment that I'm making, by the way. Like look at this. This is actually supposed to be a real picture in the street of Paris right now. Doesn't look like a real picture to me.
No, it does look like a rendering.
Yeah,
and
it
also
looks like
it's a huge car, but like there's not a lot of cabin space and not a lot of visibility from the windows. I mean, it looks freaky, but like usability wise,
yeah. I mean, it's not a real car anyway. Like they talking about having one based on it coming out soon though. The mid 20 production. Okay, so yeah, unveil later this year, but it's gonna be a 4-door GT, so it's not even that either. So it's a GT variant of that. So there's some design accent of this thing, I guess, that they're gonna transfer to that. It's gonna be 150 to 200, roughly $200,000 car. Yeah, it's a weird one, and not necessarily a good thing either, because the last car that was unveiled that people looked at it in real life, they're like, that doesn't look real. It looks CGI. Was a Cybertruck, and that thing has been the flop like crazy. So, not necessarily compliment. All right, let's jump into the comments. We have plenty of comments. It looks like today. Try to get
All
to
right,
them.
we'll start out with Elon Musk is a Nazi from Facebook. All right. Hal K, who was with us, I think, the whole show, kind of young into ether. He says, I've never even considered buying a Tesla, but I'm going to get one as soon as I get some down payment in a couple of months. Will not let corruption destroy an incredible company such as Tesla.
What corruption?
So this guy has never considered buying a Tesla, and now Donald Trump sold him on a Tesla. All he needs to do is get some down payment in a couple of months, and he's in.
Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound like he can afford one?
Maybe not.
Yeah. Hall, like, I'm not trying to persuade you not to buy a Tesla. Like, if you can afford it, go ahead. I don't care. But don't get into some kind of financing situation just because you want to encourage Tesla, encourage Elon, and everything. Like, it's not worth it. Please don't do that.
Yeah, get the little Pikes one or something. Get a used one. What is the next Tesla Trump linked product? Cyber dog whistle. All right, Hal's back. Yes, such a horrible guy, advertising America and how he wants it great. Such a horrible person, isn't he? How dare somebody want to make America great?
Yeah, I mean, our only problem with this is that he is making a commercial for the products of a company controlled by his number one political donor. Like, if you don't see a problem with that, using the White House to making everything, it's
just
like,
cheap. It's gross.
Yeah,
it's
kind of Banana Republic stuff. Like, it's not great.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, I don't think I've ever felt like I was in the movie Idiocracy as much as watching that commercial. Oh, maybe we should play that video that Wall Street Bets had on. Whatever.
Yeah, I tried to find it on YouTube, the original one. I think it's the Daily Show that made it. It's good.
Oh, really?
People can go check it out.
Aside from Polestar, who I think are offering like $10,000 or something for Teslas, are there any other EV companies offering incentives for trading in a Tesla?
Periodically, there's been offers. Like, it's not new. Like, they call it a conquest discount. So they go after a specific brand and everything. It's fairly frequent. And Tesla is obviously, in the EV world, they are often the target because it's a bigger target. But right now, the Polestar is the only one that I know of. I don't know of any other one that's active at the moment.
All right. Hal's back saying, y'all keep trading your Teslas. It will just drop the prices for the rest of us to get them for cheaper. Trade all your Teslas in, boys.
That's exactly what's happening, by the way. That the used Tesla prices are crashing right now like crazy. Like, if I try to trade in my Tesla right now, they give me like a gift card to Starbucks and 2 goats. Like, it's crazy.
All right. Sites like Electrek, spelled incorrectly, probably wouldn't exist without Tesla Revolution. How quick we forget.
Probably right. Probably right. That doesn't mean we're wrong about Tesla right now, though. Doesn't mean that.
All right. Back from Facebook, boycott Musk companies, F Elon, and the swastikars.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I don't know.
Yeah, we can skip some of those that are just propaganda and everything. Yeah.
Exoskeleton quotes. If Tesla wants more MAGA purchases, they need more superchargers in rural areas. Nothing wrong with superchargers in rural areas. Mm-hmm. I have several family members in Mississippi that would like a Tesla, but the lack of charging makes them hesitate. Fred, I think you have some firsthand experience with this.
Yeah, I actually did a road trip. I did 2 road trips with electric vehicles down south, going through Mississippi, going from like North Carolina all the way to Mississippi and through Alabama. And with my Tesla, it wasn't so bad. I have to say, there are a few superchargers out there, not that many. So if you want to go to the more rural part of Mississippi, for sure it's not ideal. But if you want to go from Jackson to up north, like Memphis or something, it's not that bad. Same thing from Jackson to like New Orleans or Jackson to Birmingham. All the main roads are pretty well covered. When I did it, again, that was a few years ago. I did it with the Mustang too. I had the bigger issue without the supercharger, and back then, of course, you couldn't use the supercharger network with Ford vehicles. Now you can, so probably a lot easier. But yeah, I think it's only fair if you're like we're talking about real rural areas that are far from the main cities in Mississippi and other southern places.
All right. Got some more from Hal in case you're.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just skip all this. There's a correction to an article. I sent this over to Scooter, but on the PG&E announcement with GM Energy, their vehicle to X pilots are not exclusive to GM. Ford F-150 hasn't been eligible for a year.
Oh.
Then he continues, we will soon be adding the Kia EV9 with Wallbox Quasar 2, with more to follow. Also have a number of options for a commercial V2X pilot. That sounds
cool.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Fenwick Hildenbrandt says, don't forget that 100,000 Roadsters that will be sold by next year. Yeah, why didn't Trump get a Roadster? I mean, if he's not going to drive something, why not drive a non-existent?
Yeah, but Fenwick is right. Like Tesla still lists the Roadster install capacity as in development, but that has been the case for like 6 years now, so don't matter much.
Jaguar burned unsellable D-types being converted to XKSS models in 57. Oh, a little history lesson here.
Mm-hmm.
Fisker parked 338 unsellable Karmas at a port in Superstorm Sandy. I don't know if that was on purpose, though. Was it?
Well,
it's hard to say.
I only remember the part of the story that he lost a bunch of them in the Sandy hurricane, but I don't know if they were there. I mean, I guess it was inventory vehicles that they were trying to sell. So I guess it's a fair comment.
Yeah. So the unsellable Cybertrucks are burning. Maybe that's a good way to sell those.
Well,
things.
I mean, some of them are getting burned through arson. Let's be
right.
honest. But
yeah.
though the one in Seattle, there was one attack. Like it was reported as an attack, but then the police didn't say it was an attack. Or at least not at first. They were not sure. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some attacks. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Dan Oberstay, the name of the new cheaper Tesla. Why not? Rumor has it that Musk even switched to Trump shampoo. It's all platonic, but still, that's weird. Moving on. That's weird that two people from two different platforms had the same comment. It's so nice that Trump is a puppet for the rich. Money can buy you the United Rich of America. All right, let's try to get some more. Musk's interests are entirely AI driven. He's using rudimentary AI to axe federal employees, $250 million to have access to your social security number and Medicare data. Musk and Trump are corrupt. That CLA looks better than the Model 3. Look, that resembled Neo after his mouth was removed in the Matrix. Okay.
What?
That's a weird one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I see it. I saw it. Yeah. The Model Y, the new Model Y, I'm not the biggest fan of, especially from the rear. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. The front, it's like, it's okay, but like everyone is going with this light bar these days. So it's like, it's nothing too crazy. The Model 3, I still very much like though. Is the CLA better looking than the Model 3? Not ready to say that just yet. I'll need to see the CLA in person, to be honest. But I mean, the specs are certainly a lot more interesting than it's not as quick, obviously, but in terms of the range, it's crazy.
Mike the Car Geek says CLA looks more like a Mercedes, but I'm really interested to see the BMW new class designs revealed, and we've seen a little bit of that.
I think it's going to be somewhat competitive with the CLA. Yeah.
The Chinese i3 was literally a BMW 3 Series with no changes, but full BEV.
Yeah, probably not going to look exactly like that new one.
Right. What is your experience with driving in the snow with a rear drive EV using heavy regen? Seems suboptimal. I did have a Model 3 that I drove quite a bit in the snow. The regen on that, it wasn't super strong, but there was times when it was a little bit icy that I would take the regen off because I didn't want to regen and start fishtailing or anything. But
yeah, it's the only reason where it would make sense to actually remove the regen. It's in those icy conditions. Personally, I don't mind it too much, especially with the newer vehicles. They are like they're pretty good at compensating with the traction control. So
Yeah, traction
actually,
control is great on EVs.
yeah, so you can actually like you can tell right away if like you're letting off the accelerator, and you get the sense pretty quickly if you have traction or not with the regen. So it's not the end of the day. They have great things they're doing now, like Audi's doing it. I know Tesla started doing it recently too, but a bunch of them are doing it where if you're letting go of the accelerator and in the cold, because you're talking about the snow and everything, sometimes you don't have the regen, and that can be dangerous too, because if you're expecting regen and you don't have regen when you let go, that's a problem. But now they are compensating where you can fake the regen with the mechanical brake when it's too cold. So that's also really great.
All right. Cyber, I feel like FSD safety numbers are helped by driver monitoring, yelling at you if you touch your phone. Probably the world would be a safer place if there was driver monitoring with people in control.
Probably, yeah, makes sense.
Skeptic says the only thing that can stop that Jag is a moderately high speed bump.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a concept vehicle. They all are super low.
Trump Elon using our tax dollars to promote Tesla is not okay and is not an efficient use of our money.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's like problem number 600 of that situation. Jaguar appealing to only the very rich is like GM building the $300,000 Cadillac Celestiq. Oh, yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while. But in Jag's case, they don't have any tight plans for what goes below that model, so no future. Okay.
Makes sense. All right, well, that's pretty much it for us this week. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, you can give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe. All these things help a ton. If you're listening on your podcast app too, these days we get attacked like crazy by the Trumpers and the Elon fans, the Elon cultists and all that on our reviews. So if you can counter that with like a 5-star review, only if you mean it, of course, only if you enjoyed the show, I would appreciate it a lot. And we're going to see you same time, same place next week. Be safe out there. Have fun.